Here Srila Prabhupada points out that Karma Muni was fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. And he gives as evidence of this that as soon as he became silent, as soon as he had no other engagement, he simply thought of Krishna. This is the sign. His consciousness was absorbed in Krishna. Now, we may think, well, how to attain such a consciousness? How can we always think of Krishna? Because we have so many other things to do. We have to talk with people, we have to brush our teeth. We may get involved in so many different things. So how can we always think of Krishna? And we may think it's better that we should just, if we really want to think of Krishna all the time, we turn this down a little bit more. It's not so hard. We may think that the best thing to do is just to go away to a cave somewhere and chant Hare Krishna. Then we can always think of Krishna. Because if we're involved in this, even if we're involved in Krishna conscious activities as a full-time devotee living in an ashram, still there are so many things. We have to go to meet people and we have to talk so many things. It's just like there was an accident 2 days ago, devotees driving in a car. So now they have to go to the police and they have to talk to the police. They should talk about Krishna to the police, but they also have to talk about cars and laws and insurance and so many different things. So how can you always think of Krishna? And what to speak of persons who are engaged in household life and then they have to do some job. No problem for me if that fan's on, but it is a problem for me if that one's on, because then I lose my voice somewhat. Yeah. Once Srila Prabhupada was at the airport in San Francisco, and one lady who was there, she happened to be there, she asked Prabhupada that, what is this? We never saw people dressed like this, what is this all about? Prabhupada said, this is our Hare Krishna movement. And she asked, what is this Krishna consciousness? What's it all about? What does it mean? And Prabhupada replied that Krishna consciousness means to always think of Krishna. That's a succinct and all-encompassing reply. Krishna consciousness means to always think of Krishna. Then the lady said, well, how can you always think of Krishna? Because we have so many other things to do. Just like she was working there, she was some stuff, I don't know exactly, maybe check-in stuff or whatever. Just like I have my job to do here. Then how could I always think of Krishna? And Prabhupada gave a very practical reply. He said that it's just like you're doing your job. But you don't forget that your hair should be nicely arranged and your lipstick should be on and all these things. You see, in the Western countries it's very common. Of course, not all women are into lipstick. Many of them, they don't bother at all. They don't like it. They think it's silly. Some signs of sanity still there. Some hope still. So, those who use lipstick, they don't only use lipstick. They have lipstick, face powder, and some kind of thing for their eyebrows, and another mascara, and then another one for their eyelashes, and then something underneath the eyes, and so many different things. So what they do, they have a bag they carry around, and every so often, every 15 minutes or so, or maybe 1 hour, they open it up and they look. And then they pull out their powder and put some more on and put the lipstick on. And they make sure they're always looking for, according to their estimation. But even those who don't do that, mostly you see they have some hairstyle, and they put their hair, they pat it every so often. They're conscious of their appearance. They're very conscious of their appearance. So Prabhupada, he said to the lady that it's just like, even though you're doing your job, you're always conscious of your appearance, isn't it? That if your hair is in position, your lipstick is proper and all of it. So yes. So Prabhupada said it's just like that. That you may be doing so many other things, but at the same time, you are conscious of Krishna. And the proof of that will be just like Kardama Muni, he was discussing with Devahuti, this, that and the other, or discussing with the Swayambhuva Manu. And then, so when he was discussing, they're talking about marriage and this and that. So at the time of discussing, you may think, well, he wasn't thinking about Krishna, he was thinking about getting married and all the arrangements. But actually he was thinking about Krishna. That was the undercurrent, always there in the mind. That as soon as that conversation stopped, immediately his thoughts came to Krishna. It's something like, you may not notice it, but it's always there. Just like in music, say there's an orchestra and there's the double bass. So in modern rock music, there's the bass guitar. So you may not notice it, but it's there. And without that, the music is not complete. Yeah. So it's there. It's the undercut or the rhythm section. The guitar is going on like this, but underneath there's the drums and the cymbals, it's keeping the beat. So that's the basis. And the bass is the bass, and then there's the whatever else is going on, the guitar and whatever. So like that, Krishna conscious means always to be conscious of Krishna. It may be that one is not fully directly concentrating on the form, the Nam, Rup, Gun, Lila. These are the 4 different kinds of smara. The Lord is to be remembered. How is He to be remembered? His names, His forms, His qualities and His pastimes. So it may be that a devotee is not directly thinking of the name, form, qualities or pastimes. You may be talking to the police about some legal matters, talking to the insurance company people about how you have to give the insurance money, and they're trying to stop them from not giving it. So it may be that he's not directly thinking of Nam, Gun, Rup, Lila, but the undercurrent is there. And actually, because a devotee, why is he talking with the insurance people? Because he wants to get the money for Krishna. Actually, if you've been properly thinking about Krishna, you wouldn't be driving so fast in the first place. So that's a mistake. But devotees shouldn't drive like crazy people. That's not devotion, that's sense gratification. And it's very dangerous. So, but anyway, this is just an example. You may be talking about legal matters. You may go to the printer and discuss about the price of paper, different qualities of paper, so many different things. But because the intention is to serve Krishna, to save Krishna's money, or to make a nice brochure, to preach Krishna consciousness, it's actually Krishna conscious. Just like Mother Yashoda, she was feeding Krishna and she put him down. That wasn't very pleasing to Krishna, he became upset. Krishna conscious means to please Krishna. But Mother Yashoda, she was feeding Krishna, he was very satisfied, and she put him down. And he became upset, and he cried. And when they broke all the pots. But why did she do that? Because she was Krishna conscious. I left the milk on the stove. Now I have to go and sit. And Krishna is directly in front of him. She's serving him. And then she stopped thinking about Krishna, you may think, because I have to go to see the milk on the stove. But that was Krishna conscious. But she was thinking of the milk on the stove because the milk is to serve Krishna. So you can't do everything at once, even if your mother Yashoda. You have to do one thing at a time. So she was feeding Krishna. And she put Krishna aside to take the milk off the stove, otherwise it would all boil over. And then Krishna couldn't be served properly because all the milk would be spoiled. And that milk was only meant for Krishna. So you may think she was in milk consciousness instead of Krishna consciousness. But that was Krishna consciousness because she was thinking. Ultimately she was thinking how to please Krishna. Immediately that didn't please Krishna. Of course Krishna is fully satisfied with Mother Yashoda because this is Leela in which Krishna appeared to be dissatisfied. So this is very extraordinary that to satisfy Krishna, in that stage you may sometimes dissatisfy. So she was thinking about, she was looking at her darling Krishna and how he was sucking her breast. He was very satisfied, she was very satisfied. And then she said, oh, the milk. So you may think she stopped thinking about Krishna. But that was Krishna consciousness because she was thinking about the milk, how to use the milk to serve Krishna. So that is Krishna consciousness. Never away from Krishna consciousness. Krishna told Arjuna, Mamanasmara yudhyacha, think of me and fight. How are you going to think of Krishna if you're fighting? Well, in Arjuna's case it wasn't so difficult because Krishna was his chariot driver. And when you're a Rati, Maharati or whatever, when you're a chariot fighter, you're always conscious of the chariot driver because it's an intimate relationship because the chariot driver has to be, practically they have to have a psychic link because the fighter can't always tell the driver what to do because he's so busy, even though he's right next to him. He's so busy fighting. The chariot driver has to make his own, how to pull it around to avoid the onslaught of arrows this way, or sometimes he has to make his own decision. There's a very, very intimate link between the chariot driver and the chariot fighter. So for Arjuna to think of Krishna and fight was not only not difficult, but necessary. Although even then, you see, when there are so many arrows coming, you may not be directly thinking about the chariot driver who's right behind you. But at the same, you may not be directly thinking about the chariot driver, because he's thinking about how to counteract all these arrows coming. But at the same time, he can never forget the chariot driver. He's always aware of it, because his life depends on the chariot driver, and the life of the chariot driver also depends on the chariot fighter. Because in fighting, then the opposite side, they often try to kill the chariot driver also, because if the chariot driver is finished, then the chariot fighter can't fight, and he's finished also. So you'll find that often you'll read in Krishna book, they'll kill or Mahabharata, they'll kill the chariot driver, and then the chariot fighter is in difficulty. He either has to try and drive it himself, which is difficult if you're trying to fight, or he has to get another one, or in the meantime he'll be dead anyway. Or even if he gets another one, he may not be as good. So their lives depend upon each other, and therefore they're intimately thinking of each other, maybe not directly, all the time. Similarly, the chariot driver may not be thinking of he's definitely thinking of him all the time, because he's only driving for the sake of the chariot fighter. So he's thinking, but he may not be directly thinking, he may be thinking about this horse is a little bit out of control, and all these thoughts go very quickly in the mind, extremely intense. Because any one split second of inattention and there'll be an arrow in your head and you'll be finished. So they're extremely intensely thinking of each other, the chariot driver and the chariot fighter, although they may not be directly thinking of each other at some particular moment. So like that, a devotee is always intensely thinking, intensely conscious of Krishna. But he may not be directly thinking of Krishna. He may be thinking how to mend the toilet. That may be his service. or how to clean it. How to clean this pot. You see, no one cleaned it properly for such a long time. Now you come scrub it. Now what do we need? We need to get some. This earth is too fine. We have to get some sand. We may be thinking so many things we may be thinking. But he's only thinking how to do it for the pleasure of Krishna. So in that way, fully Krishna conscious. So that is the aim, to be fully Krishna conscious. We can do that better by being absorbed in activities of service of Krishna than by trying to remember Krishna directly. This is the recommendation of our recent acharyas, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur especially. He condemned the attempt to think of Krishna. Amazingly enough, that the whole purpose of Krishna consciousness, or the very meaning of Krishna consciousness, is to think of Krishna. But he condemned the attempt to go away by oneself and simply try to think of Krishna. Similarly, our own Srila Prabhupada, we want that if you think you can simply go and sit at Radha Kund and think of Krishna, you won't think of Krishna. You'll think of women and money and you'll fall down. That's all. You think, I'll be very pure. I'll only think of Krishna. The only thing is that we have this mind with us which is not pure. So if the mind doesn't have proper engagement, that without purification of the mind, all these samskaras within the mind, lust, greed, anger, all this will come out. So instead of thinking of Krishna, we'll think of women, and the Prabhupada said you'll think of women and money, and then you'll simply eat and sleep and fall down. You forgot that, eat and sleep. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he condemned this. He said the same thing. He warned that you want to go for nirjana bhajan. Yushtaman tumi kishe vaishna pratishta kare nirjana kare. Tava harinama keval kaita. You're chanting your silly idea to go away and by yourself and chant Hare Krishna. That it is your holy name, your chanting is simply cheating. Kanaka kamani pratishta bhagini. So that you're simply for the sake of women and money, to increase your false prestige, which is just like a big tigress, which is going to eat you up. So therefore he recommended, do kirtan, don't go away from nirjan bhajan. And particularly he mentioned preaching, prana teja she hekyu prachar. If you actually have the life of Krishna consciousness, you don't want to, in the name of nirjan bhajan, simply snoring. But if you have life, then you must preach. And then, kirtan prabhave, Smarana haive shekale nirjana sambhi. So that if you by the power of this preaching activity, then remembrance of Krishna will come. And then when you're mature in that, then this nirjana bhajan is possible. Without purification is not possible. Because wherever you go, your mind goes with you. You may think, there are too many problems in this preaching, so many. I'll simply go away and chant. That is a desire for sense gratification. The problems are Krishna's mercy to engage our minds in His service. Because if the mind has nothing to engage upon, then instead of thinking of Krishna, all the bad thoughts will come. So better that the mind is engaged. There's so many preaching activities. So then we'll be thinking how to do this, how to do that in Krishna's service. In that way the mind will be purified. Then we'll think of Krishna. If we go away to a quiet place, we'll think of everything else except Krishna, in the name of thinking of Krishna. But if we engage in Krishna's service, then especially taking some responsibility, actually everyone should take some responsibility. More. It's good to be in anxiety. We're talking about how everyone's in anxiety in the modern age. But to be in anxiety for Krishna is very good. to take some responsibility. If we think, I will just and I will do my service and just easy go, then we cannot become advanced. Practically we see that unless devotees take up this preaching very seriously, they can't make any proper advancement is one thing. And another thing is, they can't even stay in Krishna consciousness except maybe at a very neophyte level. Of course, it's possible to be a big neophyte and be a big preacher at the same time. That's also possible. If one is preaching for one's own name, fame and glory, that's also possible. But if we're sincere to advance, we have to remain engaged in preaching activities, thinking of how to bring others to Krishna. Without that engagement, think the mind, thinking what we should do, whatever service that we make, book distribution, how to increase. If it's temple management, how to utilize this facility for preaching Krishna consciousness. If it's cleaning the floor, if our service is cleaning the floor, how to clean it very nicely for Krishna's pleasure, so that when people come, they'll notice, you see, it's so clean. That means that they'll be impressed that here the devotees are very serious about Krishna consciousness. They're very serious about what they're doing. They're cleaning so nicely. Whatever's to the surface we do. Otherwise, if we're not very serious to serve Krishna, then we'll be serious to serve Maya. There's no easy-going life. We're looking for an easy-going life. This is Maya, trying to find some comfortable position. That I'll very comfortably be Krishna conscious. There is no comfort in Krishna consciousness. Comfort, there's no physical comfort. It's not meant for that. It means that we don't sit on a bed of nails. It's not a program. We don't deliberately make difficulties. And for devotees there should be adequate facility for eating, sleeping, bathing, and these things. But we should strain ourselves in Krishna's service, not taking a very easy-going life. Take some difficulty to serve Krishna. Try to do more. Then the anxiety will come. Then the mind will be engaged. If we have material comfort, if we're living materially very comfortably, then we will have agitation from the mind. Because the mind, now we're very comfortable, and then, now where is sense gratification? Then bad thoughts will come. But if we are fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, which may seem difficult for the mind, there's so much strain, so much difficulty, but if we don't have that strain and difficulty, then we'll be thinking of sex life. So it's better to have the difficulty of taking the strain for Krishna than being very peaceful and thinking of money. This way we can make advancement. Now, for those who are engaged in secular life, again, it's a different paradigm altogether. Because the focus of their day's activities is not directly Krishna conscious. That means whoever's working in business or service, or whatever it may be. Software development, doctor, nurse, whatever it may be. The focus of their life, or the focus of their activities for most of the day is not directly Krishna conscious at all. Something quite different. So one has to, in such a situation, how to be Krishna conscious? Well, first of all, one has to make the decision to be Krishna conscious, to try to be Krishna conscious. That my life is meant for Krishna. I may be a soldier, sailor, tinker, tailor, whatever you may be, in whatever one may do for Sharira Yatra Picha Te Naprasidya Dekamanaha. Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that without doing some kind of work, you can't even maintain the body. So everyone has to do something. But one should know that the purpose of my life is not simply to be a tinker, tailor, soldier, sailor. whatever it may be. The purpose of my life is to serve Krishna. So whatever one's occupation may be, one should, first of all, solid sadhana is required, which again may be difficult in the modern lifestyle, because the way it's set up, people are working, they're so busy. Everyone's very busy. Of course people have time to watch TV, somehow. And everyone says, I'm very busy, I don't have time to chant Hare Krishna. Although we have time to watch TV. How is that? I can't quite understand. So, we can make time, or if we're so busy, just like we see software development, they're often so busy they don't have to somehow get into some line where you don't have to work 12 hours, 15 hours, 18 hours a day, which is ridiculous. It's not human life. You may earn money, but you'll have to spend it all later on for your medical bills. So living such an unnatural, stress-ridden life, definitely you're going to have all kinds of problems. Not even in future, right now, you're going to get ulcers, BP, heart problems, and you're going to need psychiatric treatment, so many things. So it's better get some kind of occupation where you don't have to, they say work like an ass, but the asses don't work so hard. So, just an example, work like an ass. It doesn't mean exactly like an ass, it usually means more than an ass. So, first thing is better to get some occupation where you don't have to so many hours and with so much strength. And then one will have time for sadhana. But then even in one's occupation, one should cultivate being Krishna conscious. There are ways to do that. For instance, one very positive way of being Krishna conscious, which most people, even if they're devotees, they are free to do, is simply to wear tilak, that's it. And then people say, what's that? It's tilak. What's it all about? Well, that shows I'm trying to be a servant of the servants of Krishna. You may be surprised. They'll get used to it. And that will save you so many problems. Then they won't invite you to parties. That's lucky. That's good. You may say, well, it will detract from my career advancement. But it will enhance your advancement in Krishna consciousness. You have to see what's important. And actually it won't detract from your career advancement. Because if you do your job well, then you should get promotion, whatever it is. But we have to see what's most important, my so-called career advancement or my advancement in Krishna consciousness. And if you have tilak, then immediately people ask, what is this? It's in relation to Krishna. Oh, what's all that about? Then you can preach to them. If you're pretending not to be Krishna conscious, so many problems. Why you come to this party, then will engage you in all this nonsense talk. You're wearing tilak here, and they want to talk to you about cricket, or sex, or movies, or what things can't we talk about. You can do this. I'm not interested. And they'll think you're anti-social. Okay, I'm anti-social. I didn't come here to be social, I came here to do a job. I'm doing my job, I'll do it. That's all. So at the same time, you don't have to be anti-social. You can be friendly to people, but no need to get involved in their silly conversations. It may be difficult to preach to the students. Give them some book, give them prasadam. That will be the best social interaction. Give them daily some prasadam. And then they won't complain about you being antisocial. They'll come to you. Whereas, of course, some may be so against Krishna consciousness, they may not even take it. But at least some will appreciate. The thing is that we have to make a stand. That I'm being Krishna conscious. I can't give my soul to this company. I came here to do a job, okay, but I'm not going to sell my soul. There's Dr. Faust, there's one story in Germany. Maybe 700 years old. Something was written. And one German author, Goethe. I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway. So there's a story how he sold his soul to Satan. And Satan in return gave him so many material facilities. But he lost his soul and had to go to hell. So it's like that. You can go to do a job in some place, but that doesn't mean you have to give your whole soul. You give your body and mind for some time, but don't give your soul. Keep your soul for Krishna. Don't give your soul to hellish people. You don't have to go to hell with them. So it may be somewhat difficult to be Krishna conscious in modern secular life. It may be difficult. But then it was difficult for Prahlad, it was difficult for Yudhishthira, it was difficult for Kunti Devi, it was difficult for Ambarish. You may think, well, they're great devotees. That's what you're supposed to be doing. If you want to be a devotee, then you have to be surrendered to God. If you don't surrender, and you remain in this material world, that's all. Then why worship Krishna anyway? If we don't have faith to surrender to Krishna, then you go to what's that called? It's Puttaparthi, or what's it called? What's the name of that place? Nishan. There's some other name? Kalayam Nishan. Huh? Prashanti Nilayam. I call it Kalayam Nilayam. You're finished if you don't. Your whole spiritual life is finished. So if you're not serious about Krishna consciousness, then you might as well go to Sai Baba. That's socially acceptable. If you say I'm a follower of Sai Baba, oh, very good. Because he offers, you worship me and I'll give you material offerings. Oh, very good, very good. Very nice. Very good man. If you worship Krishna, again if you worship, you're religious, it's okay. But then if you're vegetarian, no onions and garlic, no tea, no coffee, getting up early in the morning, not talking about cricket, not talking about sex, not talking about movies, not going to parties. Something wrong with this guy. Too religious. I don't mind if you're a little bit religious, if you pray to God for some money, that's alright. But too religious, that's antisocial. That's unhealthy actually. You see, it's psychologically unhealthy. It's psychologically good to be a little bit religious, that we agree. But too religious, that's unhealthy. That's too much. So they have the idea of being a psychologically well-balanced person. So a psychologically well-balanced person means someone who interacts with people very well and he does his career, he fits in very nicely to society. Maybe religious, you see, but not fanatically religious. So he's a very balanced person. So this is considered a well-balanced person. Do any such persons exist in the world? Doctor can say. Are there any? I think it's very difficult to find anyone who fits the description of a well-balanced person. And if you find, probably inside they're crazy. One day they'll pull out a gun and shoot 20 people dead. Because inside inside they're suppressing all their craziness. Most people let out their craziness a little bit. They're either depressed or hyperactive or something. Or they pick up quarrels with others very easily. And the very well-balanced people, they're probably the most dangerous, isn't it? They're the ones who are really crazy. And then all of a sudden they'll just go crazy and chop off someone's head or something. Because they're trying to put on a show of being well-balanced. So all these ideas, trying to fit into modern society. Of course, to some extent you have to do it. But we should understand, if at all we have faith in Krishna, in Shastra, to have faith in Krishna means to have faith in Shastra. We should understand that any life without Krishna consciousness is simply madness. mad, simply mad, that's all. And Krishna consciousness doesn't mean that my Ishta Devata is Krishna. Every morning when I get up, I ring a bell for 5 minutes, offer a little agarbatti and pray to Krishna. That's not Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness means to be conscious of Krishna all the time. We are supposed to be cultivating that. So that's different from just a little bit of puja here and there. So according to material perspectives, to be fully Krishna conscious is crazy. But actually, if we at all accept what is stated in Shastra, then not to be Krishna conscious or not to try to be fully Krishna conscious, that is crazy. Because if we're not fully Krishna conscious, then we have to go on in the cycle of death and death. Getting whipped by hunger, thirst, lamentation, the Adhidaivik, Adhibhotik, Adhyatmik, Janma, Mrityu, Jaravyadhi, suffering in this material world. We have to go on suffering. So it's crazy not to try to be Krishna conscious. It's just, they say, well, this material world is enjoyable. It's like saying that, okay, now we're going to offer you enjoyment. We're going to offer you whatever food you like to eat. You choose whatever, and we'll have it cooked by the best cooks, then you enjoy it. And whatever beautiful woman you may like to enjoy, we'll arrange. This is enjoy. You enjoy it for one day. And then after that, we're going to beat you and give you electric shocks and pull your nails out very slowly and put you on a rack. You know what a rack is? It's a torture device where they tie your legs and tie your hands this way, and they have a wheel and they pull it. So it pulls you very slowly, or it pulls the joints. The bones come out of the joints. First of all, the muscles get stretched more than in yoga practice, and then it's completely dislocated. This is one kind of very slowly, bit by bit. So we're going to do all these things to you. We're going to hang you upside down and whip you. But you enjoy. Enjoy nice food, nice women, as much as you like for one day, and then we're going to torture you for the rest of your life. So will anyone agree to this? Maybe someone would, but they would be crazy, isn't it? But that's what material life means. That you enjoy. But first of all, no one comes and says, I'm going to give you nice food and nice women. That's the first thing. You have to get it, you have to do something to get them. And doing something means, to get the nice food, mostly people can't enjoy nice food anyway. They can't enjoy what they like to eat because, for one reason, they don't have enough money. And the other thing is because they can't digest it, or they get, you see, like myself, now I have to eat my diet, I have to consider that I have muscle problem, I have headache problem, I have constipation problem, and now I also have stones problem, just to add to the fun. So I can't eat this, I can't eat that, I can't eat so many things. So you can't eat what you like to eat, but even if you want to eat, nice, you have to arrange, you have to go out and work to arrange the money to buy the food. And you can't enjoy all different beautiful women. You may go to the movies and I'd like to enjoy, but you can only get that many. Of course, you're supposed to stick to one woman, but nowadays they're advertising in the movies that enjoy widely and freely, but even then you have to have money because women won't come otherwise. In Thailand, last night I was saying, Thailand is a land of great material enjoyment. So there's a saying, Minung, Mi Puding, which means that if you have money, then you can have a woman. Otherwise not. Either by prostitution, or you say, you see, if you want to enjoy some woman, they don't. First you have to take them out, feed them, you have to have a big car to impress them, all these different things. You don't know, because it's not developed in India, this culture. Now they're just coming up. But coming from the Western countries, we know that first of all, when you're young, you have to get a motorbike. And then when you're earning more, you have to get a car. And not just any car, but it has to be a fancy car. Why all these fancy cars? A car has to take you from one place to another. Then why should someone buy a sports car or a Mercedes-Benz car? It's only to impress women. It's the only reason. To show I'm a big shot, I'm very important, and the only reason they want to impress men is because then women will see, and then they'll see that other men are impressed by him. Okay, I'll go for him. It's the only the whole endeavor of human society. It all ends up simply. I won't say it as graphically as I could, because there are ladies present. But the whole endeavor is simply meant for sex. That's all. Whatever it is. All this work hard, get money, get a big position. Of course, in the beginning you're thinking how to get money, how to just to survive. But then why should you want more and more and more? Simply to impress you. It all ends up, all this big civilization, big buildings and so many things. The whole purpose is for the same thing the dog on the street does. That's all. So, it's so much work, so much endeavor to get all these things. And mostly you can't get it anyway. Whatever you desire, you can't fulfill it anyway. You can't eat the food you want to eat. Or you can't get... You see, man's desires are never fulfilled. Even if he has the most beautiful wife or girlfriend in the world, he'll want another. Some other girl, he'll also want that. It's unlimited. And then even if you have so much money or power or position, you get so many women, then you can't enjoy it because the body has limited ability to do so. So material life means, first of all, one has unlimited desires, but one is frustrated, one cannot fulfill them all. And then, if you fulfill, then you have to suffer the result. If you fulfill illegally, or it means illegally according to the laws of nature, if you fulfill your desires sinfully, then you have to suffer reactions, just like that example. One day you enjoy, the rest of your life, torture. There are many torture techniques they know, by which they torture people severely, but they don't die. They specifically torture them in a way, it's a whole science. How to torture people in a way that they won't die. Because if they die, then you can't torture them anymore. Then they won't suffer. So you keep these methods to give them severe pain and keep them alive. So you can go on torturing them. So in material life it's like that. You go on. So people think, I commit suicide. And suffering so much suicide doesn't stop the misery. It goes on. Material life means even after death you have to go on suffering. So only a crazy person would be, knowing this, they would be interested to try to enjoy material life. Even if you enjoy material life in a so-called pious way, that means that you only eat nice foods but not meat, maybe vegetarian like this, or you only enjoy sex life within marriage, and even according to the Vedic system, it's allowed to have more than one wife. That's allowed. But then you have to suffer, means that material life means suffering. Because of your attachment, you may go to the heavenly planets, but you have to suffer janma mrityu jara vyadhi. You have to come back again. The heavenly planets is also anxiety. Then tekam gupta swargalokam vishalam kshine punye martya lokam vishanti. You go up to the heavenly planets, you enjoy, and when the enjoyment's finished, come down. And then again, birth, death, old age, disease, you have to suffer. So material life means suffering. Krishna consciousness means no suffering, only bliss. Although it may seem in the beginning like there's some suffering. But the difficulties we take in the service of Krishna, that is the cause of the greatest bliss. So, only a crazy person would not surrender to Krishna. So we shouldn't be victimized by this modern society and think that these people are normal. They're all crazy. Everyone's crazy. But they think you're crazy. It's just like if you go to the Pagalkhana, everyone's crazy. And if you act normal, he's crazy. Hey, don't say that. I'm the Prime Minister and I'm telling you not to say that. Well, I'm Benjamin Franklin. They're all crazy people. And anyone normal comes, and they think he's crazy. So you come to the Pagalkhana and one will introduce, my name's Mahatma Gandhi, and well, I'm Jawaharlal Nehru, and I'm Annie Besant, and who are you? Well, you know, my name's, I don't know, Sushil Khanna. You mean you're not a famous person like us? We're all famous, important people. You're just a Sushil Khanna. What do you do? Well, I deliver newspapers. Oh, see, I'm the father of the nation. He's the first Prime Minister. Who are you? But they're not Mahatma Gandhi. They're not Annie Besant. They're not Nehru. They're just imagining. Because they're crazy. And they think you're crazy. He's a funny guy. He's just a newspaper deliverer. And we're all prime ministers. But they're crazy. And then you could say, and you could go among them and Sushil. Are any of you Rajiv Gandhi? No, there's no Rajiv Gandhi. Well, actually, I'm Rajiv Gandhi. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Welcome. So you also become crazy. So if you want to talk with materialistic people, they're talking about, how to get career advancement, how to enjoy sex better. I'm getting left out of the conversation here. I should join them also, and you become crazy. You see, in the madhouse, they may be discussing. You see now Russia's forces are building up. We should have a conference and work it out what to do. And they call them. You don't want to join? Come. We're talking about, it's a very serious political problem here. So they're all crazy people. They're just imagining. No, it's okay. He's a crazy guy. We've got important work to do here. And he's a crazy man, you see. And you may say, okay, I'll join the conference. See, actually I'm Rajiv Gandhi, and my advice is that we should try to get Italy on our side. And you see, my wife's Italian. Oh, okay, that's a good idea. They're all crazy people. So you may become accepted by them, but by doing so, by adjusting to their way of life, you become crazy. And then you have to suffer repeated birth and death. So better is to be Krishna conscious. And they may say, he's crazy. But actually they're all crazy. Because they're acting in such a way that they have to suffer repeated birth and death. So better cultivate Krishna consciousness. Seriously. Hare Krishna. Is there any question about this? Yes, please say it loudly. Loudly. I have a mic, you don't.
While performing duties in Krishna consciousness.
Did you all hear that at the back? You have to say it so the people at the back can hear. I can speak loudly enough that people at the back can hear even without using a mic, so try it.
While performing duties in Krishna consciousness.
Can you hear him?
While performing duties in
Now you went down. Yes. Okay. Here, speak in the mic.
While performing duties in Krishna consciousness, And sometimes it may not be possible to think of Krishna because sometimes while living here, for example, I'm preaching to somebody. So my mind may get diverted from Krishna.
What are you preaching about? You're selling life insurance or what? What's the question? I already discussed it in the class anyway. I already discussed this topic in the class. But what's the question?
The question is that sometimes the mind gets diverted to different things when we are not directly thinking of Krishna.
The question is that while performing activities in Krishna's service which may not lead us to directly think about Krishna, the mind may get diverted to think about other things. That's why we have to cultivate a strong sense of Krishna consciousness. That's why in the first place we have to have the sankalpa, or the determination that I am going to be Krishna conscious. Then we have to do sadhana very strongly, which will awaken a strong sense of Krishna consciousness. Then we have to practice during the day, not only working with our body for Krishna. This person's very Krishna conscious. Not so. Listen. You'll get more benefit from hearing than looking. You don't know who is Krishna. You can learn by hearing. Otherwise you'll just see some statues. So, that we have to cultivate. We have to cultivate because we are rascals, we're crazy. We have the habit of not thinking of Krishna. So we have to cultivate Krishna consciousness. We have to cultivate the habit. When we're talking with each other, it's very easy for devotees also to get diverted and start talking about all kinds of things which are not Krishna conscious. Just like, for instance, in Krishna's service, we use computers. So we may discuss, in talking with a devotee, discussing some point about usage of the computer in Krishna's service, we may ask, what's the hard disk capacity? And they may say, well, 2 GB. And they say, well, is that enough for your work? And think, well, actually, I need some more. And then you could say, well, nowadays you can buy this, maybe you should get a 20 GB one, and then you can buy it in Singapore cheap. And it's all discussion about Krishna, but it's not discussion about Krishna, but discussion about something which is related to the service of Krishna. But then, you could go on for like an hour discussing about different qualities of artists. And it may be in the service of Krishna, but it may not be necessary also. So, you have to see, is it really necessary to discuss for 1 hour? Maybe it is. Probably not. Then you start talking about this, and then, this one has the double speed USB port, and you may need to discuss. Occasionally, maybe if you want to buy a computer, you have to discuss a few things, something. What's best for your needs and what the price is. But if you may also get into a habit. I've seen devotees who are like into computers. They talk a lot about computers, a lot more than they need to for their service. So it becomes a kind of maya. The same thing, the same discussion could be maya or not maya, depending upon the context. If it's actually conducive to our service for Krishna or not. And we may discuss so many things. What's going on in Iraq? You could get into a whole big discussion. Not required. Maybe if you give some public lecture, you may put in some words because their mind is in that. So you may capture their attention. If we talk about Golok Vrindavan, they may not be very interested. But if we speak about what's going on in Iraq, because they watch the news and they read it, that may capture their attention. That doesn't mean that we give a whole lecture, that we imitate CNN or BBC News. The lecture should be about Krishna, not about Iraq. We may, to make some, because Krishna speaks in a general way in Bhagavad Gita. Daivi Yesha Gunamai Namma, or what's that verse that I was going to say? Everyone is under the control of the three modes of nature. What's that verse? Ka kahamiti manyate. What's that verse? How does that begin? Prakriti Priyamanani Gunai Kamanisa. So we may give an example. It's just Krishna's making a general statement. So we may, to illustrate, we may give an example that George Bush thinks that he's controlling the world, but actually he's controlled by Maya. So you can give an example, and immediately people can relate to it. But then we don't go on talking about, we don't give a whole class about what George Bush ate for breakfast this morning, and what's his next policy, where's he going to attack next. That's not our subject matter. Our subject matter is Krishna. So we should cultivate this habit. Jadi ama pradishneho take shabakat tobe Krishna betivitra nagayvaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to tell people coming to see him, if you actually have affection for me, then don't talk about anything except Krishna. Ki bhojane, ki shayane, ki bajagarane, ahar nishat chinta Krishna balahabhagane. Whether you're eating, sleeping, waking, whatever situation, day or night, only speak about Krishna. We have to cultivate this. Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Gao Krishna Nam, Krishna Dino Keho Krishna, Naba Dehoy. Chant the name of Krishna, worship Krishna, sing the name of Krishna. No one should think of anything but Krishna. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. We should cultivate this. Anything else?
How can you give Krishna consciousness to the people, those who are not much interested, or
how can we give Krishna consciousness to people who are not much interested
uneducated
or uneducated? Well, how can we give Krishna consciousness? First of all, you have to have something that you can give. So we shouldn't think, of course you may be Krishna conscious, but we shouldn't think, now I am going to preach. Now I am going to go out and save the conditioned souls. What is that? Tomare levaitayami oinavavata anibinag bandhuara kaya chaitama. I have descended to this world to lift up the conditioned souls. What friend is there but me? You shouldn't think like this. If we're going to preach, we should think, I'm now going on the order of my spiritual master to repeat the message he has given. The best way to preach is to give people books, Prabhupada's books, and repeat what we have heard. And to uneducated people, give them prasadam, ask them to chant Hare Krishna.
When we are going for a job, then there are some jobs where we need to concentrate a lot. So should we take that our concentration and keep thinking of Krishna, doing job, think of Krishna, or we should engage in concentration with the job?
In a job which requires a lot of concentration, should we concentrate on Krishna or concentrate on the job, or try to concentrate on Krishna and time to time think of Krishna? Well, that example Prabhupada gave about to the lady, you have to keep your hair nice. Both things have to go on simultaneously. That you can do, for instance, depending on the circumstances. Say, for instance, you're working with a computer. Then you can have your computer every 10 minutes or so chant Hare Krishna. Or you could have screensaver. Of course, if you're working intensely, you won't be time for screensaver. It may be, you can have a screensaver, there's very nice screensavers, so many pictures of Krishna, pictures of Prabhupada. You can have, in your workplace, you could put pictures of Krishna, depending on the circumstance. And cultivate a sense of Krishna consciousness. So that underneath, it will always be going on. It requires work. We have to work with our mind. Krishna consciousness is not for lazy people. We have to do the work. It means we have to spend time doing sadhana. We have to work on controlling our mind. It's hard work. Krishna consciousness is not an armchair religion. It's not like watching TV. You simply sit in a chair and switch it off. And then you don't have to do anything. You don't have to think anything. You just sit and then you eat some snacks. Krishna consciousness is not like that. Kashtana parale keshto milidena in Bengali it says. If you don't take some trouble, you can't get Krishna.